SmartB Sports Update Podcast is brought to you by Optimum CBD. For all your rest and recovery needs, CBD products are your best bet. Go to optimumcbd.store to order now. Free delivery on all orders over $99. You must be over 18 to order. I use Optimum CBD products personally for my rest and recovery. I train 6 days a week in Jiu-Jitsu, as you've probably heard on the SmartB Sports Update Podcast. I teach, I train, I compete. And without Optimum CBD products, I wouldn't be able to do it. Optimum CBD for all your rest and recovery needs. How are you, man? Probably happy after the weekend.
Yeah, we'll take the 2 points. They sort of did it the hard way towards the end, led 28-6. Dragons came back and got back to 28-20, but in the first round you just take the 2 points. A win's a win in the first round, so
the turning point
can't complain.
Was Jacob Little coming on the field.
Yeah, 100%.
Like all the first half, I was there with a Bulldog supporter. Shout out Sam. I was complaining about how the Dragons, they were getting no post-contact meters. Whereas the Bulldogs were getting heaps. And that was like the real difference in that first half. Like the Bulldogs post-contact meters were ridiculous. And then Dragons was like none. Zero. Either getting pushed back or just like as soon as they get hit, they're down. And then Jacob Little came on the field in the second half and suddenly the Dragons were getting post-contact meters. And I think it has a lot to do with the, speed of service from dummy half. The players were able to get the ball earlier or to a better line and able to actually hit the Bulldogs defence in a better way.
Yeah.
And then he did that tap and go and
that was infuriating. You don't want to let tries like that in, but thankfully it didn't cost them the game.
And then when he came back off the field, or Damien Cook came back on the field a little bit later, they just went back to the exact same thing. It was really a noticeable difference in the Dragons' way they played and what they were able to achieve when Little was on the field as opposed to Cook. And it's only game one, so you can't say take that much away from it. Dragons have an easy game this week. I just think it's really Damien Cook's strength has always been his ability to run quickly from dummy half and identify lazy markers. Now that he's older, he doesn't have that strength anymore. And his service from dummy half is too slow from the ground, so Bulldogs were able to easily read it and get the Dragons players, rush up and get the Dragons players early. And then, Little came on and they weren't able to read it as easily, so the Dragons were able to more easily identify defenders to run it. That would give them extra meters. Yeah, well, according to
NRL.com, Cook played 58 minutes, Little played 26 minutes, so maybe Flanagan figures that Little's better used in the short bursts as an impact player.
Yeah, see, during that time he played, they scored 2 tries. No, wait, sorry. They scored 3 tries while Little was on the field. And then he came off and there was no tries. So it was really telling to me. That was the main thing. I also had Jacob Little in my Smart Play fantasy team, so I was really annoyed that he sat on the sidelines for so long. And then when he finally came on, he was one of my best scoring players. Thanks for that. The try in the meters game.
They were much improved. The Bulldogs had led 28-6 with 25 minutes to go. The Dragons scoring those last 3 tries. Tuipulotu, we'll get to him in a minute, but hit the 3 tries for him, and Little, as you mentioned, got that 1 try for the Dragons. For the Bulldogs, I thought Tuipulotu was great, scoring that double. And we will get to the Roosters recruitment and retention. He's another one the Roosters have let go, and I think Serraldo, it looks like, might be able to get the best out of Tuipulotu.
Yeah.
So well done to him. I thought he was great. I think maybe the first 20 minutes they were probably on about an even keel, the two teams, but then I think the next 40 minutes the Bulldogs were clearly the dominant side, and then the Dragons just had too much to do in that last 25 minutes to come back. But I'll tell you what, when Tuipulotu got that third try with 8 minutes to go, it was 28-20 with 8 to go. I was really holding my breath at that stage. Valentine Holmes really needed to kick that goal to get it within 6. If he had to kick that goal, well, that last 8 minutes would have had a very different complexion if he kicks that goal. But once he missed that, you probably... I mean, I wasn't thinking that because I was paranoid that the Dragons were going to come back. But I guess if you were a neutral observer of the game at that point, you probably went, oh, it's going to be too hard from here, given that he missed that goal at 28-20.
Yeah, well, when he was up for the goal, the people around me, even the Bulldogs fans were writing the Bulldogs obituary. They thought they'd lost the game.
Yeah, well, you as a fan, you're paranoid, and when your team's ahead 28-6 and the opposition gets back to 28-20 with 8 minutes to go, well, of course you're thinking the worst. You're thinking, well, yeah, they're going to get another couple of tries in the last 8 minutes and snatch the result.
And then when he missed the goal, it was like a sigh of relief.
I mean, it was, but you were still... I mean, 8 minutes is still a long time, especially the last 5 minutes where they stopped the clock.
And then, so Damien Cook came on with 4 minutes to go. It took Jacob Little off the field, 4 minutes to go. And I thought, it was remarkable how they went back to not being able to... They stopped threatening anything.
Well, they probably should have left Little on then.
I think so.
That was probably where Flanagan needed to use a bit of common sense there and leave
the other massive disappointment for me was Fatala Mariner. He's just not... I kind of feel like he's just not up to the standard of a first-grade forward at this point in time anymore. He had 5 runs for 53 metres. He was only on the field for 24 minutes. He should have come on and he should have really made an impact against his old club that sacked him. Didn't listen to his complaints. Used to be the captain of, and he did come on, did nothing, then come off like a piece of dust in the wind. He wasn't even noticeable. It was a massive, especially because it was Couchman who went down. He's blown his ACL and won't be back till 2026. So they really needed their bench to step up. Of the players on the bench, Fatala Mariner, Hamish Stewart, which one do you expect to step up? And Mariner just didn't.
So maybe, again, we have to give the Bulldogs recruitment and retention some credit here. It seems like they made the right decision letting Fatala Mariner go. And they've also made the right decision in signing Tuipulotu. So you have to give credit to Gould and Serraldo. They haven't really put a foot wrong in the last couple of years with their recruitment and retention. So, I think it says here only 17 post-contact metres for Fatala Mariner as well.
Yep.
That's really not enough. I know he wasn't on the field for very long, but still, even in, I think you said 24 minutes he was on the field, you'd still expect more than that. Only 5 runs, 17 post-contact metres.
Especially with the game in the balance and Jacob Little carving everyone up like he was, Fatala Mariner should have come on the field pumped, bent some Bulldogs players backwards, got some quick play the balls, given a little more time, and then the bench rotation would have been really good. But it was like he come on, he's doing nothing. Let's just get him off. Yeah, that's what it seemed like from the sidelines.
So that's the Bulldogs have now won 5 of their last 6 against the Dragons. The Dragons have won only 2 of their last 7 at Jubilee. And the Bulldogs have only won 2 of their last 9 round 1 games, so a rare round 1 win for them as well.
That means they're going to win the premiership, right?
Yeah, that seems to be the theme at the moment. I was going to mention actually before we started, we actually got a comment from Colby Robards on one of our Instagram reels. And he was referring to, you mentioned this round 1 thing. We talked about how I said, the Raiders are going to come last. And it was on one of our Instagram reels, and Colby Robards said, because of course the Raiders won in round 1, And Colby Robart said, tail between your legs, Dan, hands up, you got it very wrong. Colby, you are aware that it is possible to win in round one and still come last, right?
There was someone commented on one of the YouTube videos, it might have been Vic actually, on the podcast that just remember in whatever year it was that Newcastle last got the wooden spoon, they won their first 4.
Yeah, and the West Tigers won the wooden spoon last year. They won 6 games. So one win in round one doesn't. You don't avoid the spoon by having a win in round one. Have I missed something? Is there now a new rule where if you win in round one, it's not possible to win the wooden spoon anymore?
Yeah.
Is that? I seem to have missed the memo here.
Exactly.
A win by the Raiders in round one apparently means that they're now immune from winning the wooden spoon.
If they won in round one, then they can't win the wooden spoon. And if they won in round one, it means they're definitely getting the premiership. So, yeah.
But yeah, thanks for the comment, Colby. But yeah, just remember it is possible, if you can believe it, to win your round one game and still come last. So, anyway, I just thought I'd mention that, seeing as you brought it up.
It wasn't the Knights, sorry. It was... no, hold on. I can't remember who they said it was. I can't find the comment. But yeah, somebody pointed out that the Knights, when they won a wooden spoon... I'm sure it was the Knights. 2007.
Yeah, I think it might have been Vic on the last episode might have commented.
2017 was it when they won their last wooden spoon? Yeah. Okay, they lost to 2017. They lost against the Warriors in round one. I can't remember who it was. Anyway, Knights won a bunch in the beginning and they still got the wooden spoon, or someone won a bunch. Check the YouTube comments. Yeah, but then we could talk about Christian Tuipulotu scoring a try when they're down by 20 points and
he had quite over the top celebrations after these tries. Look, I think the first try was fair enough. It put them up 6-4. Fair enough. Celebrate after that. And I think after the third try, look, fair enough. Because they'd got back to 28-20. They were on a roll. There was 8 minutes to go. They had all the momentum. I think fair enough there. But when you're down 28-10, you're down by 18, and you're celebrating like that, I did think, look, come on, mate. You're down by 18 points here. Just take it easy there.
Willie Mason, I was watching a clip from Willie Mason's podcast where he was asking, what was he trying to say? Is he on, like a train and trial agreement? Is he on low money or something? Was he talking to the Dragons with his, like, show me the money?
Yeah, it was a show me the money.
Yeah, like, who's he talking to there? That's what Willie Mason was talking about. Like, if he was talking to the Dragons, the celebration is all well and good because he did score, like, you know, all the tries for the Dragons, basically. But it's a little bit weird to be like, yeah, down by 18 points, jumping up and going, show me the money to the Bulldogs fans.
Yeah, it's like, and one of the Bulldogs fans gave him a finger salute too.
Who are you talking to there, man? Like, what are you trying to say? These try celebrations, I like the try celebrations. I like the, the NFL obviously has some, like, really awesome ones. They do that try celebration week in NRL now. But it's just weird when they do ones that are like, what exactly are you trying to say? And also, bro, you're down 18 points.
Yeah. It was like,
if they were down by 50 and he finally scored a try in the 70, like the English what are they called? The women's team that played the Jillaroos, and they finally got that try. Oh, yeah. Massive celebrations all around.
The team that lost 90-4.
Yeah, massive, because, come on, that's worthy of a celebration. Yeah. Finally. But come on, Christian.
I mean, he had a great game. 3 tries, 174 running metres, 6 tackle busts, 3 line breaks. But so he's certainly one of their better players. But still, I mean, a little bit weird. Come on, you got to read the room a little bit. You're down by 18. You don't celebrate like that.
And I don't know what was wrong with Valentine Holmes' kicking, man. He's got to go get a kicking coach or something. Everyone was like, oh, Val Holmes will get this. Val Holmes will get this for every kick. But it was like, he missed 2 from 4. Yeah, one of them was like quite easy and pressure.
Well, that's the thing, especially that last goal he missed. That just really snuffed out their momentum there.
Yeah.
They scored that try, as I said, got it back to 28-20, only 8 minutes to go. You've really got to kick that goal to keep your team in the game there.
Exactly.
Because as I say, of course, I was paranoid. I thought the Dragons were going to come back. But for a neutral fan, I mean, yourself, at that time, you probably thought, oh, well, you know, this isn't going to happen here. And I'm sure neutrals would have looked at it at that stage and gone, look, you know, they're probably not going to pull off this comeback now that he's missed that
I think
kick.
the two things were him missing that kick and then Jacob Little coming off the field with 4 minutes to go. Oh, you could clearly see him come off, and then it was like, well, they've definitely lost it. It was like they'd resigned themselves to losing after that he missed that kick. Like they knew there's no way we're scoring 4 tries in 8 minutes. Two tries in 8 minutes, even though they had scored 2 tries in 8 minutes earlier in the game.
Yeah. It's hard to maintain that sort of momentum.
Absolutely.
And you were spotted yourself on the Fox League coverage.
Got all the
I got a bit of a shock. I was like, there's Jaunt.
I got the photos from a bunch of people. Everyone saw me. Because
Yeah.
I'm so recognisable, right? It's because I'm famous. They were looking for me. Is that what it is? But then we did have some issues with fan behaviour from the Dragons, of all things. With a douchebag deciding he would make a TikTok video and try and become famous, going and buying a pie and then throwing it at a Bulldogs fan for social media clout.
Yeah.
It's really fun. Like, I saw that. I saw it before it was news, actually.
Oh, did you saw it? You saw it?
No, I saw it like on TikTok or whatever. It's a whole TikTok clout video.
Oh, right. So you saw it on TikTok.
Like, so, because it's like the video is like, you know, he goes to the pie thing and says like, will this look good on a Bulldogs fan? Say yes to the person selling the pie. She has no idea what.
Yeah, she doesn't know what he's talking about.
And then he goes and acts like an idiot. And I saw it, and then it started to pop up everywhere in all the subreddits and Facebook groups and stuff. Like, you know, like 2 or 3 hours later, and it's really funny because Bulldogs fans' reaction to it was not outrage at the fact that some idiot had thrown a pie at the Bulldogs fans, but they were like, everyone's comment was like, if this was a Bulldogs fan doing that, it'd be on every news site, and Buzz Rossfield would have written 7 news articles about it by now. But it hadn't become a thing yet, because that's how stuff that goes viral works. Like, I saw it before it was famous on TikTok.
Yeah.
And then it started to appear on other platforms, and then like the news and the Dragons paid attention to it. Just because you see something on the internet doesn't mean everyone has seen it on the internet, you know?
Yeah.
But the Dragons immediately when they came out, and they saw it, came out with a statement, you know, looking for the Bulldogs fan to offering, I don't know what they can offer.
I think they apologised. And they said, that I've got that statement in front of me. They said we will work with the Bulldogs to contact the fan and pass on our apologies directly. So, I thought that fan was, you know, he was fairly restrained. You know, I think he was in his rights to do a lot more than what he did. He just walked past and said, oh, you know, you think that's... He said something like, oh, you think that's appropriate, do you, throwing a pie at me? Or it was something like that he said.
It's just a stupid thing.
Yeah, it's just ridiculous.
It's like internet clout.
And I think someone on Reddit, the top comment on Reddit was, oh, that's a waste of a $42 meat pie.
I love all these jokes coming out like that. Like, I don't think we need to discover who the Bulldogs fan is. I think we need to discover who the world's richest Dragons fan is. Like, stuff like that. Because, it's just a stupid internet cloud amongst young people thinking like those stupid pranksters are funny. Don't they learn that, you know, somebody in America, one of those idiot YouTube pranksters got shot? You know, you're going to get stabbed. Like, just don't do that crap.
Yeah.
Especially if you're a Bulldogs fan, you might get stabbed. Jokes. But you're going to get stabbed if you do those stupid jokes. You're going to get bashed. You're just an idiot if you do it. No one thinks you are cool for doing it except you and your small circle of friends. You know?
Yeah, I mean, that guy, if he was lucky he threw the pie at somebody who was restrained. If he threw it at someone else, he could have got punched in the face. Yeah. And you wouldn't have blamed
the
guy. I mean, he's throwing a meat pie at him. So what do you expect?
It's just stupidity, and no fan should do it. And no fan, you go to the, you pay, you're already paying like $100 to go to the goddamn football, and getting to Cogger is hard enough. No parking anywhere, and you gotta have your game disrupted by some idiot, like just ruining it for everyone. Really, they just should, they banned under 16-year-olds from TikTok. They need to go one step further and make that internet license. You have to be supervised for 250 hours by your mum before you can use the internet unsupervised.
Yeah, social media has been a blight on the world
Absolutely.
since it came into existence.
Dylan Brown has signed the biggest deal in the history of rugby league. $13 million for 10 years to join the Knights. No, I don't think there's a player in the world who would turn this down, because I heard it's also indexed to salary cap raises.
Oh well. So, a $13 million 10-year deal. That's going to put Dylan Brown on $1.3 million a year. So, these are some of the other salaries of the superstars of the NRL. So, I'll just go through them. So, Daly Cherry Evans is on $1.2 million a year. So, now Dylan Brown's going to be paid more than Daly Cherry Evans. Jerome Luai's on $1.2 million a year. This is a player who played at 5'8" in the last 4 premiership wins for the Panthers. He's on $1.2 million a year, so Dylan Brown's going to be on more money than him. Mitchell Moses of the Eels, who guided New South Wales to that State of Origin series win last season, he's on $1.25 million a year, so Dylan Brown's going to be on more money than Mitchell Moses next year. Cameron Munster's on $1.3 million. So what Dylan Brown's going to be paid the same as Cameron Munster. Nathan Cleary is on $1.3 million. So Dylan Brown will be on the same money as Nathan Cleary. Tom Trbojevic is on $1.1 million a season. Dylan Brown's going to be on more money than Tom Trbojevic, if you can believe that.
You got to think that those guys all... This 10-year agreement is stupid, by the way. You got to think that all those guys are going to be wanting an upgrade. The salary cap isn't increasing by much in the NRL. Like, it's not planned to be increased by much over the next couple of years. Like, it's 11,400,000 now. 11,800,000, because there's an exemption for motor vehicle allowance and veteran and developed player allowance. It's only going to go up to 12.1 in 2027, so that's only a $300,000 increase.
Yeah.
All that $300,000 at the Panthers is going to go to Nathan Cleary.
Yeah.
Like, is Dylan Brown's on the same as him?
And what about the timing? They announce it after they get hammered by the Storm as well, Parramatta. The Storm thumping them 56-18. And this is his reward after that thumping. Oh, here you go. Here's $13 million for the next 10 years.
That was a shocker of a game, by the way. It was just... The Eels are... They've got a Bulldogs level rebuild going on right now. I think Jason Riles is the new Cameron Ciraldo, a guy who shouldn't have taken a job that early because they've got too far to climb. He's going to get hammered this year like Cameron Ciraldo did in his first year at the Bulldogs, and everyone's going to be questioning at the end of it, like, why, what have we done, I think.
But maybe over the long term, they're better off that Brown's gone, because now it frees up that money in the cap. If they were going to have to spend that to keep him, would he have been worth it? That's what this comes down to. You just got to ask yourself, I just read out those salaries of all those other superstars of the competition. This is what it comes down to. Is Dylan Brown worth $1.3 million a season? No, he is not. He's worth maybe $700,000 a season, yes. He's not worth $1.3 million a season. So they're paying overs for him, the Knights. And once you start paying massive overs for players, well, that's how you dig yourselves in a real hole.
Yeah, well, he's he's worth what people will pay for him, I guess.
Well, good luck to him. I mean,
that's not like everybody would have taken it. There's not a single.
If I was him, I'm not knocking him. If I was him, I would have taken the deal.
They're just mad.
I'm knocking Newcastle for offering him that sort of a deal, because he's not the player to offer that deal.
There's not a single player in the NRL who wouldn't take it. I was listening to Who was it? I can't remember. It was a podcast the other day on maybe Andrew Schultz on Joe Rogan. Maybe Ian Carroll. I don't know. One of them was talking about how they watched some AFL, and they were saying like how tough the AFL players are, and that's got to be like the toughest sport in the world and all this kind of thing. And they did like some highlights, and then one of the things they commented in that was like, and they just get paid nothing, right? To the average Australian, they get paid heaps, but when you think about it, compared to like an American sports star who gets $20 million a year, they get paid nothing. So of course Dylan Brown's going to take a deal if it's on the table like that.
Yeah,
10 years guaranteed, $13 million. And if he doesn't play well and they want to get rid of him, the club's going to have to pay him out a massive amount of money.
Yeah, I don't blame. Please don't misinterpret what I say. I don't blame Dylan Brown at all. If I was Dylan Brown, I'd be doing the exact same thing. Good luck to Dylan Brown. $1.3 million a year for the next 10 years. Good luck to you. You can set yourself up and your family up for life with that money. And good luck to you. But for Newcastle to be paying this amount of money for this player, they're paying overs for him.
I don't think there's a player in the league that a club should get signed to a 10-year deal. Look at Jason Tomololo. He was the first 10-year deal, right?
Yeah.
What's going on with him?
This is the problem. You sign someone up to that long-term deal on huge money. Well, where's the you can see the motivation wane for the player. They're like, well, my money's secure for the next 10 years. It's huge money. You know, where's the incentive for that player? The incentive for players to perform well, prepare well, and everything like that is, wanting their next contract to be a big one. But if someone's been locked in for 10 years, well, they don't have to worry about that. This is probably the last contract. I think Dylan Brown's 24 years of age. Yeah. I think.
Yeah, he is. Yeah.
So this will probably be his last contract.
24 years.
And this will probably be his last contract, and he's 24. So he doesn't have to prove himself as a player anymore. He can just go through the motions and collect his $1.3 million a year for the next 10 years. $13 million locked in, 10 years. He's 24 now, he'll be 34 then. 34, done and dusted. See you later, retirement.
Yeah,
there you go.
Nuts. It's really nuts. No one should sign a 10-year deal.
So he's...
no club should sign a 10-year deal.
Yeah, he's...
Players definitely should.
He's taken up that get-out clause in the contract. Of course, Parramatta have learned their lesson. No more get-out clauses. But he was set to earn $1.1 million a season in 2026 at the Eels. So maybe overall Parramatta have dodged a bullet here. If you're going to have to pay this much money for him, was it really going to be worth it? Remember the last couple of years, the Eels have finished 10th in 2023, 15th in 2024. And they're paying this amount of money for their playmaker who's not even... Or Newcastle are paying this amount of money for the Eels playmaker who's not even the key playmaker for the Eels. Mitchell Moses is their key playmaker. No top 8 finishes in the last 2 years. The trajectory isn't great for Dylan Brown on that front, and he's landed a $13 million 10-year deal. And good luck to the guy, but there's no way I would have signed him for that money.
Is he going there to play 6 or 7 as well? Because he's not a 7. Like, what was one of the things killing Brown? Yeah. Oh my God. Cooper Cronk pointed out was he played halfback like for 8 games last year, and they lost 7 of those games. The Eels.
Yeah.
So they need a 7. Maybe it's Jack Cogger.
Well, Jack Cogger's there. He played at 7.
He played 7
on
and
the
6.
weekend.
7 and 6 at Panthers as well. Jack Cogger. But
yeah, I just think he's a decent footballer, but he's not worth that money. This is overs. If it was $700,000 or $800,000, you go okay. Look, I think $800,000 would be the absolute most I would pay for him. But they've gone $500,000 over that. Is that fair? Like, you look at Dylan Brown, you go, yeah, no more than $800,000. That's how I would see it. And they've paid him $1.3 million a season.
Well, I think right now with the lack of superstar halves, everyone's judgment is flawed because your halves are traditionally worth like 1.1, 1.3 million or whatever in today's day and age, right? Like, you talk about the players that you rattled off that are on the $1 million, and it's like, there was, what was it? It was all halves and one fullback, Zac Trbojevic, yeah?
Oh, Tom Trbojevic.
Tom Trbojevic, yeah. But I think because there's a lack of, like, those superstar halves, now they have to pay what fans and a lot of people would call overs for halves, because your halves are your most important players, so you've got to pay the most for them. But unfortunately, in today's day and age, the halves actually aren't worth that much money.
No.
Dylan Brown as a player isn't, like, sorry Dylan Brown, but not worth that much money. But you pay that much for your halfback. So, that's how much a halfback costs. If you want to liken it to something else, like, you just think of it like, I actually don't know, like, you can buy, just say a car is worth $30,000 a year, right? You pay $30,000 for your car. And if you have a car, a motorbike, and a boat, and you set your budget, you go, I need my car the most, so I'm going to pay the most for it. And that's just what it is. A boat is more expensive than a car, but I'm just kind of rattling off 3 objects. So in the rugby league football team, they have 1, 6, 7, and 9 are your most important players. And out of those 4 players, 7 is the most important. If Dylan Brown's going to go there to play 7, if he is, you pay the most for your 7.
Yeah.
And that's what 7s cost, $1.3 million. But does that make
high quality 7s?
Yeah, does that make all 7s worth $1.3 million? No, unfortunately.
Yeah. Well, Nathan Cleary, who I would say is the best player in the game at the moment, I would say that he's on $1.3 million a year. So Newcastle, for some reason, think that Dylan Brown is worth the same as Nathan Cleary at this point, and Nathan Cleary is the Tom Brady of the NRL, with winning the last 4 straight premierships at halfback.
Yeah, it doesn't make... But yeah, like Newcastle trying to do something. I know we'll get copper hammering from Newcastle fans again, but I reckon it's a massive mistake.
But that's the thing, like, there are other ways of going about it. If you look at... I'll come back to the Bulldogs. If you look at them... Well, you'd say that overall, I'd say they're probably in a better spot than the Knights at the moment. They're not spending much on their halfback at the moment. They're not spending much on Toby Sexton. Their approach has been to go for guys who can play multiple positions, like Kurt Mann, Jamin Salmon, these sorts of players, and also give a start to the likes of Bronson Cherry, and get him playing over his value, which he has been doing. And then you got the likes of Kickout and Crichton and Burton. That's the thing. It's not all about paying. And you look at Connor Tracy at fullback for them as well. He wouldn't be on big money either. So it's not all about throwing money at the likes of Kalen Ponga and Dylan Brown. That may not be the way of going about it.
When the rumours came, I thought they wouldn't commit it because surely Adam O'Brien's job is in danger. Imagine you're the coach coming into that. You can't rebuild your team. You've got Kalen Ponga on there for, when does his contract expire? And you got Dylan Brown there on massive amounts of money for the next 10 years. How hard is it going to be to rebuild your team if you're a new coach?
And didn't you, I watched, I don't know if you watched that game on the weekend, the Knights West Tigers game, and I know the Knights got the result in the end. It was a close game, it was a good game. I thought the Tigers were pretty good. For them, I thought it was a really good performance. But gee, looking at Adam O'Brien in the coach's box, he just looks worried all the time. He looks so stressed. He just looks so unsure of himself. He just looks like he really doesn't want to be there. Of all the coaches, I think the two, when they put the camera on the coaches during the game, I think the 2 coaches who most look like they don't want to be there are Adam O'Brien and Anthony Seibold. They look the most uncomfortable coaches in the comp. They look like they're walking on eggshells the whole time.
Adam O'Brien is always on the razor's edge.
Yeah, he just looks like... Man, I know he's getting a lot of money, but geez, he looks like a guy who really doesn't enjoy his job at all.
Yeah, well, I think coaching the Knights is a really bad job, actually, because the people who coach the Knights go really poorly, get sacked, and then don't get a job ever again.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Where do you go? Where's he going to go for? I can't see anyone else hiring him.
Yeah,
well, not as a head coach. Yeah, he'd get an assistant job somewhere because he's been a head coach.
Yeah,
but I can't see him getting a head coaching job anywhere else.
So still on the Eels, Knights and Eels. People are questioning Zac Lomax's decision to take a pay cut and go to the Eels because, after their shellacking, hey, he kicked 3 conversions. He's got 6 points. I'm glad he's gone.
Yeah, but he took a pay cut to join the Eels, a 4-year deal worth around $2.6 million. Why would you take a pay cut to join a team like the Eels?
Because he wanted to play centre.
Yeah, well, I mean, but you were left wondering, watching the game on the weekend, you were left wondering...
Maybe he should have stayed at the...
Yeah, he's gone to all that effort taking a pay cut just to play centre. And he dishes up that performance.
Maybe he should have stayed at the Dragons and played on the wing.
Yeah, well, I mean that's right. I mean, as a Dragons fan, you must be thinking, well, we've dodged a bullet here.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's a great winger. That was the thing about him. Shane Flanagan put him on the wing, and he had his best year ever. Started in Origin as well on the wing. He's definitely a winger. Just cop it, bro, and be a winger. You've taken a pay cut. You're getting paid as much as a winger now, so go be a winger, and you'll probably go really well.
And that's the thing. He played for New South Wales and Australia last year,
yeah.
So it just feels like he's made this change, he's got this desire to play in the centres for no good reason at all.
Yeah, some people want to be centres and don't want to accept the fact that you go back to Brett Morris. They tried to run him at fullback a few times and stuff, and then Wayne Bennett was just like, "Dude, you're a wing. That's it. You are a wing, and be on the wing." And then he went on that try scoring thing where the bookies suspended first try scorer on Brett Morris and Josh Morris because it was ridiculous. They were always going to be first try scorers. Some players are just wingers. There's nothing wrong with that. I think it comes from a traditional mentality of back in the olden days where you pay your winger $100,000 because they're only going to touch the ball 3 times. But now wingers are pivotal to setting up your entire set, returning the ball, positioning defensively, everything, as well as scoring tries.
Yeah.
There's more to a winger now than there used to be, but I think it still carries some of that negativity. Oh, it's just a winger. But some of the most famous people in the game are wingers, and he could have stayed there and been a winger.
But isn't this the problem with Parramatta all over again? We talked about before how they might have dodged a bullet with Dylan Brown going to Newcastle, but then they find another way to shoot themselves in the foot by signing somebody to play in the centres who's really a winger on a $2.6 million deal. This is the whole problem with Parramatta.
Done before Jason Rolls, though, right?
Yeah, it was, but it's more just them as a club, I'm not singling Jason Rolls out here.
Like I said, I think Parramatta are going to have a shocker of a year, and it's going to be like that first year Serrato was at the Bulldogs. And Jason Rolls is going to have to weather that storm, and he's going to clean up this kind of thing. And we'll see how good of a coach he is.
This is the thing. It's about the decisions. He's still got to make the right decisions now. All right, that Dylan Brown money's been freed up now, but it's about what they do with it now. No more stupidity like signing wingers to play centre on $2.6 million.
Well, I mean,
4-year deals.
If Jason Ross makes a decision throughout the year to just move Zac Lomax to the wing, then it's a big statement, that's what I mean.
And then he goes to all that effort, leaving clubs, taking a pay cut. So he leaves a club. Again, let's remember in his last year at the club, he played for New South Wales and Australia, leaves the club to take the pay cut. And then in the end, he might even be asked to just go back to the wing after all that. So it seems like a lot of effort for nothing or for less money on Zac Lomax's part.
Definitely his best position is wing. I think Michael Maguire has taken Payne Haas to another level. Not that guy needed another level. But look, okay, we can talk it up. They weren't against the best opposition, the Broncos. They put 50 on the Roosters. And we're going to talk about the Roosters next too. But Payne Haas terrorised him, and Michael Maguire used Payne Haas perfectly. I think he was on he front-loaded him, I think for the first 30 minutes was his first stint, something like that. Then took him off and brought him back on when they needed some oomph up the middle again. Just looking it up here, right? Yeah, 28 minutes. They front-loaded all of his energy and he just bashed through. Yeah. Took him off and brought him on for the last 20 minutes. Perfectly utilised. All he did was ran forward. Don't try anything special. Just run forward. And he terrorised the Roosters' entire pack. Ran for 167 metres.
And you talk about Payne Haas, but isn't it interesting how a number of players who were left on the outer by Kevin Walters actually starred in that performance against the Roosters? Players like Corey Pakes and Jack Gosiewski, they both scored tries. They were used sparingly by Walters in first grade during his time in charge. Kobe Hetherington was also good at number 13 after he and Pakes were both told by Walters they were free to leave the club. If you talk about Brendan Piakura in contrast, he only played 2 minutes and was sent to the sin bin after a brain fade. Now, he was preferred by Walters to some other players. But Gosiewski's taken his starting spot in 2025 under Maguire, and he's already going gangbusters. So, players who were, again, left on the outer by Kevin Walters have already played a starring role for the Broncos under Michael Maguire.
But you do realise this is Kevin Walters' team that he built, and Michael Maguire hasn't done anything for it. If Kevin Walters was the coach still, they'd be premiership favourites for sure. You do realise that, right? The Roosters, on the other hand, they got no one. Their team is so good, actually. This is the thing with the Roosters. Their team is so good, actually. James Tedesco, Daniel Tupu, Mark, not even going to try with the last name, Dom Young, Lindsay Collins, Connor Watson, Angus Crichton, Victor Radley, Siwa Wong is a big up-and-comer. Their team is so good, but they were just shocking. I mean, when that Victor Radley head clash was, scary as, horrifying. It could be the end of his career at this point, because that's his 45th concussion. But they were diabolical.
Yeah, they were diabolical. And look, there were still a number of star players in their side. I know they've lost a lot of players. You still had James Tedesco, you had Dom Young, Daniel Tupou, Angus Crichton, Victor Radley, Lindsay Collins, Nafahu White and Connor Watson still in that side. So that's the thing. It does. That was a 50-14 thumping that they suffered at the hands of the Broncos. And it really does put some of their recruitment and retention decisions under the spotlight. I have to say, you look at the likes of Joey Manu and Joseph Suaalii leaving, the decision to sign Brandon Smith, that's proved to be a terrible decision.
He's going to the Rabbitohs.
The strange Terrell May situation, that scenario, with him let go to the West Tigers, Satili Tupanua gone to the Bulldogs. There's just been so many recruitment decisions that they've messed up here, and the result is that, Trent Robinson's under the most pressure that he's been under in his whole career, by far.
Yeah, someone pointed out to me in 2016, the Roosters came second last. So they won in 2013.
Yeah,
Trent Robinson.
They did, yep.
And then 2016 they came second last. In 2017 they came second.
Yeah, so they are a club who can make quick rebounds. And I think in 2012, the year before they won that comp, they didn't have a good season that year.
No, that was changing coach and everything though, right? Trent Robinson wasn't there in 2012, was he?
No, he wasn't, but I'm just saying that they can rebound very quickly after a poor season.
I think Trent Robinson has shown though that he's willing to basically sacrifice an entire year. Because 2016 they lost a lot of players through retirement and everyone leaving and stuff, and it was like they only just narrowly avoided the spoon, possibly. No, that was when Newcastle only won one game. One game. Wow. Yeah. And drew one, but so I wasn't narrowly avoiding the spoon, but they could have gotten the spoon, and then the next year they bounced back. So. I think Roosters fans are in this mode where they're like, it's all right, because, we've had these years before. It's not like when Brad Fittler was there and was it Chris Anderson and stuff, and they actually had a shocking run for a few years.
Yeah.
They have the expectation. I think, again, it might be a long year for the Roosters fans. There's nothing they can do.
No, yeah, they are a club who they are willing to take a hit and go down the bottom for a year if it means a quick rebound. And look, if that does eventuate, well, good luck to them. But I guess, look, we don't know that that's going to happen this time. It has happened in the past, as you said. 2016, they had a terrible year. And they hit back quickly, winning back-to-back comps in 2018 and 2019. As I mentioned, they had that poor season in 2012 and quickly rebounded in 2013 with Robinson coming on board as coach, and also that recruitment where they got Sonny Bill, Michael Jennings, James Maloney. So they are a club who they are willing to take a bullet for a season in order to rebound very quickly.
Yeah.
And look, if that does happen again, if they do rebound quickly in 2026, 2027, well, good luck to them. But I guess we don't know that that's going to happen at this point. All we can do is talk about, the very bizarre recruitment decisions that they have made.
I like, I've just gotten a message right now from my boy Luciano, a Roosters fan. He reckons they should, it might sound ridiculous, but they should get Jackson Hastings for $350K because he's not playing at Newcastle anyway. And then the Chad Townsend, all the Roosters think on the Chad Townsend can go back to the New South Wales Cup, which was the intention.
Well, just sign him on a 1-year deal.
Yeah.
I mean, it's better. Jackson Hastings would take it.
Yeah.
It's better than playing reserve grade.
And they're talking about instead bringing JWH back and stuff like that. Like, what? That's not going to solve their issues. But Victor Radley's in all sorts. Lots of rumours floating around that maybe he's going to go the Boyd Cordner Jake Friend route and be medicaled out, which would be another massive loss for them.
Yeah, massively. So you're right, Hastings is on the outs at Newcastle, isn't he?
Well, he's on the outs at every club he ever goes to.
Yeah, he is.
One year, so.
Yeah, that's right.
Not to be expected. Jackson Hastings is on the outs at Newcastle.
So I think they've got a difficult run coming up. The Roosters. I think they got Penrith this week.
Yep.
So that's
yeah, everyone's tipping Penrith.
Yeah, that's it's not going to get any better for them this week. And that we remember that horror record they've got against the Panthers and the Storm. Only one win from 22 games against those two teams over the last 5 seasons. It's a terrible record. I was just going to say about the Broncos as well, while we're still talking about that game. I wonder what Gordon Tallis has to say about the Broncos putting 50 on the Roosters.
Well, Kevin Walters built that team, man.
Yeah. Like, seriously. The Broncos put 50 on the Roosters in Maguire's first game in charge. I know it's only one game, but they looked a lot better in round 1 than they did for the whole of last season under Kevin Walters. They looked a lot better in round 1 under Michael Maguire than they did last year under Kevin Walters.
Kevin Walters built that team. Yeah. Michael Maguire's just taken over. He hasn't put anything of himself into it yet.
Yeah, so if they win the comp this year, the Broncos, it should be Kevin Walters standing on the premiership dais with the team, not Michael Maguire.
Gordon Tallis will never eat that humble pie, man.
No. Well, as I said, he said the Broncos could win the comp because if they have a really, really good season, he can then say, "Oh yeah, I told you that was going to happen. It's no big deal."
And if Kevin Walters was still the coach, they'd be the favourites to win the comp.
Apparently.
There's a numerical way we can see that because you can actually go to the bookmakers and check the odds for that, and you can see the historical fluctuations and find the date that it changed one day after Michael Maguire signed. Anyway, the Roosters also had a bit of an issue. Not the Roosters, but billionaire boys. Nick Politis and Mark Bouris apparently approached the referee in Vegas and shouted at him, and the integrity unit can't really investigate.
Yeah, so actually it says they are reportedly investigating it. It's a complaint made by an NRL Vegas Nines referee. So this was in the Vegas Nines.
Super bizarre story, to be honest, because why the hell were they so invested in issues.
Yeah,
in
why do they care so much?
I feel bad for the ref. Apparently, he volunteered and paid his own wages.
A volunteer referee paid he paid $7,000 to volunteer to officiate in Las Vegas. He's paid $7,000 out of his own pocket, and he cops a spray from Mark Bouris and Nick Kyrgios.
2 billionaires.
Having a go at a volunteer referee who spent $7,000 to get there.
They should each pay him $10,000 just because they have $10,000 in their pocket each, and they'll earn it back within 30 seconds of giving it over. The
suits they wear are probably worth $7,000.
Yeah, exactly.
And he spent $7,000 as a volunteer to referee in Las Vegas. Do Nick Politis and Mark Bouris think that because they're successful and they're well dressed and they're nicely put and everything, do they think that gives them a right to talk to a volunteer referee like
Absolutely.
that? Seriously.
Well, they've probably got Trump syndrome and they believe they're the same as Trump, so they can do whatever they want. But it's terrible behaviour. I mean, I know the NRL Integrity Unit is investigating, but I read the statement about it where it basically says, even though we investigate it, we can't do anything about it because it's two completely independent people that have no involvement in the behaviour of the team or whatever at that tournament. Basically, look, we're not going to punish 2 billionaire guys.
Yeah, it's funny that, isn't it?
Who put so much money into the game.
Yeah, it's funny that, isn't it? Yeah. It happens to be 2 people who put a lot of money into the game who they're not.
On the other hand, you can investigate if NRL player abuses a under-9s referee or something on the weekend, but you can't do anything about Nick Politis and Mark Bouris.
Yeah, well, that's right, exactly. And in the 3-page complaint that the referee made, he claimed Bouris said to him, quote, "I've seen a lot of football and that was a disgrace. You reffed us out of the game," end quote. Bouris has a conflicting version to that. He says, quote, "Neither of us swore or were aggressive. We were never in his face." And then he says, quote, "I said, hey, mate, that was one of the worst refereeing performances I've ever seen. Then Nick and I walked away," end quote. And then he goes on to say, Bouris, quote, "I've never abused a referee in my life." It's like, oh, yeah, you've never abused a referee in your life, but you went up to the ref and said that was one of the worst refereeing performances I've ever seen. And he's a volunteer ref who spent $7,000 out of his own pocket to go and officiate in Vegas. And you're a billionaire? Like, come on, give me a break, Mark Bouris.
Mark Bouris should go try refereeing.
Yeah, that's not acceptable.
I like when I referee jiu-jitsu and the organizer says, if they complain to you, just tell them I can't talk to you and go talk to whoever the organizer is. Nick from Grappling Industries, absolute best. He's always tell them nothing to do with me, go talk to Nick, and then I'll tell him to F off for you. It's like, yes. Because you don't approach refs, you don't yell at refs, like just get the hell over yourselves. We can complain about refs, but you don't approach them, you don't abuse them, you don't shout at them. I was sitting next to a guy at the football, I can't remember the guy's name, he told me his name, he was just mean to the refs, and I was like, come on, man, it's a hard job. It is a hard job. You can't understand how hard it is to ref, man. Like, I don't know how hard it is to ref a rugby league game, because, when I referee jiu-jitsu, I'm basically standing still. And these guys also have to, run and stuff like that. I mean, they really did miss that forward pass that led to a try at the Dragons game, and we saw the touchy was exactly in line with it. Definitely forward. It was about 3 meters forward. But you don't abuse the ref. You complain about the ref. You don't abuse them. It's a hard thing to do. People just cannot comprehend how hard it is.
It's hard enough for referees who are paid. Let alone someone who's not only is this, as I said, not only is he a volunteer, he spent $7,000 out of his own pocket to go and officiate in Vegas. So, when you got guys like Nick Politis and Mark Bouris treating referees in this way, well, it's just going to be harder and harder to get referees. If a volunteer referee who spends that much money out of his own pocket is being treated this way, well, why would anybody referee any game?
I actually had a conversation with an event organizer who will remain nameless, because he was talking specifically about one particular coach as well at Jiu-Jitsu, and the coach did a public post after an event and said and I had the worst referees ever. And the organizer said, he's an idiot, don't worry about him. And he was like, man, the thing is, it's really actually hard to get referees, especially if people know that guy is going to be at events.
Yeah.
He's going to abuse them and they don't want to do it.
Yeah, why would you do it?
Yeah, and so, you have to leave them alone and let the organisers help them and teach them and stuff like that, so you can have referees.
Yeah.
If you abuse them, you won't have referees.
Especially some game between the LA Roosters and Brisbane Veterans. But who cares about that game?
Exactly,
why would you get worked up over a game like that nobody cares about?
No, it's ridiculous. Over to Manly Cowboys.
Yes.
Man, the Cowboys didn't look good, but
No.
Anthony Seibold's copping a bit of flack for playing his fullback for 80 minutes.
Yeah, well, I mean, the result was determined with 20 minutes to go. Manly had it well and truly in the bag. And it just seemed as though, why is Tom Trbojevic still on the field here? Played the full 80 minutes. Remember, he's a player who didn't feature in any of the trial games. So he's coming in underdone. And I understand that. I wouldn't have played him in the trials either. Why would you have risked him? You wouldn't have risked him. But then to play him for the full 80, I mean, he could have got injured at the end of the game. Manly are lucky that he didn't get injured. Anthony Seibold's lucky that he didn't get injured. Seems like the real common sense approach would have been to take him off as soon as the result was in the bag. And it was, again, they won 42-12. They had a 42-0 lead. This result was in the bag well before full time. And Manly could easily have taken their star player off here. They left him on. I wouldn't have left him on because there's nothing to gain by leaving him on.
It's funny, you want to leave your fullback on for 80 minutes, but you don't want to leave Tom Trbojevic on for 80 minutes.
No.
And that speaks volumes about the brittleness of Tom Trbojevic and the risk that Manly takes, right? In reality, because it was Tom Trbojevic, I agree, I would have taken him off.
Yeah.
There's not a single, but you go over to the Broncos game where the game was finished in the first half, basically. No one's going, they should have taken Reece Walsh off.
No.
Or
because he's much younger and he doesn't have the same injury history.
And that's there's not a single, Melbourne game, they should have taken Pappenhausen off. Even though Pappenhausen's had some shocking injuries over the last few years. No one's you should have taken Pappenhausen off. But it speaks volumes to the Manly salary cap issues, right? Because it's everyone knows, if Tom Trbojevic is broken, Manly's screwed.
Yeah.
So it's dude, you need to put that guy in bubble wrap and as soon as the game's in the bag, take him off. Whereas if Ryan Pappenhausen goes down injured, Melbourne still makes the grand final.
That's it, right? So it's a different scenario.
Yeah, and it speaks volumes to the issues over at Manly. They can't win. There was 3 blowouts this week, right? 3? I suppose you could even say the Raiders game.
Yeah, well, if we're just talking about the 6 games on the weekend, there was the Broncos 50-14 over the Roosters, Manly 42-12 over the Cowboys, Melbourne 56-18 over the Eels. The other 3 games were much closer.
Yeah, so those ones
we're not talking about the Vegas.
You got to
games,
leave everyone on, right?
6.
But those other 3, you're why didn't they take their star player off? Well, because if they take their they don't need to take their star player off because they know that even though it's a risk, whenever anyone is on the field, there's always a risk. Yeah. You can get injured in the first minute, you can get injured in the warm-up. It's always a risk. But their team and their season doesn't rely on that individual player.
And the coach's job doesn't rely on that player.
So it really speaks volumes to Manly and the issues at Manly. Really. More than Tom Trbojevic protecting Tom Trbojevic. I think the real important point about it is, Manly has to solve that problem. They've never been able to. They always had the issue with, Brett Stewart was the last one or whatever, They've always had this issue. Daly Cherry Evans for a while. They have so much money wrapped up in one player that people are saying, your fullback, an 80-minute player for every other team, should come off the field.
It's almost not even the money that Trbojevic is on. Tom Trbojevic is on $1.1 million a year. Daly Cherry Evans is on $1.2 million a year. So Cherry Evans is actually paid more. But the issue is that Manly's fortunes just solely hinge on the availability of Tom Trbojevic.
Yes.
If he plays close to a full season, they make the top 4. In 2021, they made the top 4 and he won the Dally M medal. But if he's out for the whole season, well, Manly don't make the top 8, basically. So their whole season hinges on his availability. They rely on him, I believe, a lot more than they rely on Cherry Evans. If they didn't have Cherry Evans, of course it would be a blow, but I don't think it'd be as much of a blow as if they didn't have Tom Trbojevic. I think they rely on Tom Trbojevic more than they rely on Cherry Evans, even though Cherry Evans is paid more.
Cherry Evans averages 25 games a season.
That's it. So that's right. So even when he's got that high average games per season, but they still don't make the 8 if Trbojevic doesn't play many games.
And
so if we look at their season...
Trbojevic is only 17 games a season he averages. And that's why they've got to take him off the field when they can, because they can make him average more games per season.
That's right. I'm just looking at their season finishes recently. It's an interesting point. I'm just waiting for this page to load. Oh, yeah, a few technical issues today, but that's all right.
It's the rain.
Yeah. So, yes, Manly in 2022, they finished 11th. 2023, they finished 12th. Let's have a look here. 2024, they finished 7th. So, and as I said, 2021, they finished 4th. So, I don't even need to look at it. I guarantee you that in 2022 and 2023, when they missed the 8, you can bet Trbojevic didn't play many games, and that was why they missed the 8. Yeah. Whereas last year, he played more games. 2021, he played a lot of games. They make the 8. So their whole season hinges on his availability. So if I was Manly, whenever the result's in the bag, I'd take him straight off.
Yeah, exactly.
I'd do that for the whole season.
Yeah.
As soon as the game's in the bag, Tom Trbojevic comes off.
Doesn't matter if there's 20 minutes or 7 minutes to go. Off you go, brother.
Yeah, as soon as the result's in the bag, come off, Tom.
Yeah.
Because we got nothing to gain by leaving you out here. The longer he's out on the field, the more chance he is of getting injured again.
Exactly. And finally in rugby league, all it takes to get a Dally M vote these days is to score a try in a team that gets smashed by 40.
Unbelievable.
30. Sorry, 30.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they were down 42-0 with 8 minutes to go, so I forgive you for saying 40.
Yeah, that was the last time I checked the score.
Yeah, well, most people would have switched it off at that point. The Cowboys down 42-0 with 8 minutes to go. Braidon Burns scored a try with 3 minutes to go, but the game was well and truly done. Who cares about that he scored a try with 3 minutes to go? As you said, they lost by 30 points. Somehow Braidon Burns got a Dally M vote. The Dally M votes went 6 to Tom Trbojevic. No surprise, he was outstanding. Daly Cherry Evans got 2 votes. Ruben Garrick, 2 votes. Haumale Olakau'atu, 1 vote. Braidon Burns, 1 vote. Now, I'm sorry, if you're in a team that gets beaten by 30... you don't get any Dally M votes. That's ridiculous. Braidon Burns shouldn't have got a Dally M vote.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense at all. The Dally M, we were talking about it on the weekend, and the Dally M's. I hate the way the Dally M's is voted. I really just think it should be the best player of the round gets 1 vote. Across all of the games, because then all it takes is 2, and you're probably going to win it.
And I don't know about this, they're giving these extra votes now, like 6 votes, 2 votes, 2 votes. Just, what happened to the old just 3, 2, 1? Yeah. Just simplify it.
No.
It seems like it's all very complicated.
It is, it's too complicated.
And how do you give a vote to somebody whose team got beaten by 30?
He didn't even run a lot of meters or anything.
He scored a try with 3 minutes to go. They were down 42-0 with 8 minutes to go. He should not have got a Dally M vote.
And what we were talking about on the weekend actually was the stupidity of the Dally M, where you have Spoon Bowl. The 2 worst teams in the comp last year playing in the last round. You got to give someone 6 points. Because someone has to be awarded the 6 points, but everyone's pretty bad. So does anyone really deserve 6 points in this? So
it's ridiculous.
He ran for 213 metres, which is the most out of any Cowboys player.
But even then, you got to go, look, one team's clearly dominant over the other team. Again, like, he may well have been the Cowboys' best player. He probably was. That doesn't mean he should have got a Dally M vote in a team that was, as I said, was down 42-0 with 8 minutes to go and lost by 30 points.
Just because you're the best player in the battle in one team, you don't have to award Dally M points to both teams.
No.
It's to the players that are the best on the field.
No, he could have been the Cowboys' best player. He may have been. But that means there could have been 10 Manly players who were better than him. Yeah. And there probably were, given the lopsided nature of the result.
Well, that's rugby league for the week. Bulldogs finished the week inside the top 8. But it doesn't really count. Dragons finished the week outside the top 8. But again, it doesn't really count. It's after 1 week.
Well, there's a long way to go. We've got to be consistent if we're going to say, well, the Raiders, could still win the wooden spoon after winning round one game. Well, then we're not going to get carried away about other round one results either. Although I will say it again, the Broncos did look a lot better under Michael Maguire in Game 1 than they did all of last year under Kevin Walters. Exactly. And I think that's just a fair comment.
True.
That's just the truth.
The truth may hurt Gordon Tallis, but that's just the truth.
Yeah, that's right.
India's home ground advantage.
Yes.
It's not a home ground in the Champions Trophy. Got them the win, so they've won their third Champions Trophy. New Zealand choked in the final, losing by 4 wickets. Of course, there's a lot of talk about India's unfair advantage because they refused to play in the host nation's country, and instead all Indian games were played in Dubai. And that meant other teams were unable to prepare. It's totally unfair. Yeah,
that's right. 100%. And let's remember, if we look at the same scenario, it was just swapped around at the 2023 World Cup, which India hosted. Pakistan played all of their 9 games across various venues in India. So Pakistan had to play all their games in India during the 2023 World Cup. But India are allowed to play all their games in Dubai, the 2025 Champions Trophy that was supposed to be held in Pakistan. And this is the thing. By the time Indian captain Rohit Sharma lifted the Champions Trophy after winning the final, the only sign that Pakistan had been the host nation of the tournament was the logo on the playing tops of both teams. Not a single Pakistani representative was on hand during the presentation ceremony. And Shoaib Akhtar, former Pakistani paceman, was filthy about that, and so he should have been. That's not fair on Pakistan. They were the host nation here. India seemed to be, because India bring in, I think it's 80% of the revenue in cricket, they seem to think, well, they can just pick and choose the conditions under which they play tournaments under.
Yeah, it's really like absolute nonsense. Any other sport in the entire world would not bow to India's wishes.
No.
India's demands. It's beyond ridiculous. They played all of their games at the same stadium, right? Every other team had to travel. Every other team had to go to different stadiums.
Yeah.
India just got to sit there and do, relax, no flights. Same pitch.
Yeah. And if Pakistan had made the final, they would have had to go to Dubai to play it. It's just ridiculous. It's not fair on everybody else. That India can just boss everybody. They make the rules themselves. They decide the terms under which they play in tournaments. It's just ridiculous. It's not fair on the other countries. And you know what? It just makes you lose interest in these tournaments, right? You just go, well, all right, how can you take this tournament seriously then if India don't have to play by the same rules as everybody else? And then you go, well, you know what? The footy started. Well, then I couldn't give a stuff about the Champions Trophy then. If India are allowed to just boss everybody around, play in these tournaments, as I said, under their terms and conditions, I switch off. I tune into something else. The footy started. I'm into the footy now. I'm not watching the Champions Trophy.
I think it kind of just shows that whole tournament is just for India.
Yeah, and so when they lift the trophy at the end of it, you just go, well, I don't care about this.
Well, it wasn't on television.
No, that's the other thing. So it was easy to tune out from because it wasn't even on on television. Wasn't on free-to-air or pay television.
Trying to find this graphic I was sent the other day.
I think it might have been on Amazon Prime, maybe,
yeah,
the tournament.
Richest cricket boards in the world. There you go. So, I don't really know the... what's it called? Because it was sent to me by one of my Indian friends. BCCI, the Indian one, is 200,000 crore, which is like an Indian thing. Where the next highest is Cricket Australia with 602 crore. That's the richest cricket boards in the world. 17,200, to 602. And it's just so obvious that the International Cricket Board just bows to them because they bring it. It might not even be 80%.
I just said that off the top of my head. I don't have the figures.
No, it's like probably more.
But it's something around that. It's something like India bringing 80% of global cricket revenue.
1 crore is used to symbolise 10 million. So, India has 17,200 crore. I don't know what that is in real money, but when compared to 602 crore, that's the next highest. So the combined net worth of the next nine cricket boards is 3,103 or 18.2% of BCCI. So it's they ruin world cricket. Sorry to say, India.
Yeah,
they ruin world cricket.
And would India have made like Pakistan were the hosts and India got to play all their matches in Dubai? Would India have made similar concessions for any other nation when they hosted the World Cup in 2023? Of course they wouldn't. They just bully everyone else and they make the rules themselves, and everybody else has to fit in around them. And if they're going to do that, well, all right, I'm not going to watch these tournaments. I'll watch the footy instead. And so they lose engagement from fans in other countries if they're going to do that. And look, maybe they don't care about that, okay, but I mean, it affects the integrity of the competition because you know that it's not a fair competition. There's rules for India and a separate set of rules. There's a separate set of rules for India compared to every other team. And that affects the integrity of the competition, and so fans of other countries just switch off and watch something else.
Look, India won the T20 World Cup in America, so it's not like they can't win stuff. It's just that they've weighted the decks in their favour so much. It just makes all of the international cricket stupid. That, like I said, that championship trophy is fully obviously just for India. Australia didn't even air it. Put it on TV, so... and then, they lost in the second.
Yeah, Fox have a dedicated 24/7 cricket channel and they didn't even put it on. No. They didn't even want the rights to it.
Yeah, because they knew India was going to win.
And look, you can't blame them because it's just a tournament doctored in India's favour.
Yeah, exactly. Who's hosting it next time?
I'm not sure. I'll check though. I think it's just come back, the Champions Trophy. It had a hiatus.
As in 2029?
Yeah, so the last one was in 2017, so it had an 8-year hiatus. 2029...
India.
So they're going to host it in 2029, so... and even when they don't host it, they play where they want. Yeah. They play in another country and make everyone come to Dubai to play against them.
Ridiculous. And Aussie legend Steve Smith has announced his retirement for ODI cricket after Australia's devastating loss in the semis on Friday.
I think it was Friday. Yeah, I think it was Friday.
Yes, Friday. Tuesday. Oh, wow. It was a long time ago. Wow, they had a big break.
No, was it back that far?
Yeah, he must have done it on Wednesday, where India beat Australia in Dubai as an India home game. Well, he retires as one of the best that's ever done it. And
that's right, yeah. Yeah, so after that Champions Trophy exit by Australia, he announced he's quitting the 50-over format. Had a great career in ODIs, played 170 ODIs for Australia, scored 5,800 runs at 43.28. That's a very good average for one-day cricket. 12 centuries, 35 half-centuries. Played in Australia's World Cup winning sides in 2015 and 2023 as well. So, very good ODI career for Steve Smith. I think it makes sense that he's retiring now. In fact, to be honest, I think he probably should have done it after the 2023 World Cup. Yeah. I thought it might have made more sense to do it then. But anyway, he's done it now. I think that makes a lot of sense. He's obviously going to focus on Test cricket now.
Definitely.
That's his main focus ahead of the Ashes series coming up this summer.
In Australia, right?
Yep, later this year the Ashes series will be played.
Well done, Steve Smith.
In Australia. So well done, Steve Smith.
Hopefully he can win us the Ashes, which they should, because England suck.
Oh yeah, well Australia's record in Australia is in the Ashes is very impressive. It's I think England's only won one Ashes series out here in recent memory. I think that was in 2010-11. The other times England have come out here, we've just steamrolled them basically. Yeah. So, yeah.
Absolutely. Over to tennis.
Yeah.
Indian Wells is on.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Nick Kyrgios had to retire, because he was hurt. And he broke down in tears. I feel so bad for him.
Yeah. Obviously got no sympathy at all for him. And look, that's not mean-spirited at all, because he's a bully, and he dishes it out to everybody else. And I know we've got our views on Yannick Sinner and everything, but look, everybody's got an opinion on Yannick Sinner. They don't feel the need to air it on social media every second day. Yeah. Most normal people would just go, all right, I've had my say on it, and now we just move on. That's what you do. If there's an update to the story, you give another opinion, but otherwise we move on, we move forward. But Nick Kyrgios just hammers Yannick Sinner constantly on social media, just gives it to him, because he's a bully. And it's not just Yannick Sinner. You might remember he called Boris Becker a criminal. Boris Becker, a legend of the game, won 6 Grand Slam titles, which is 6 more than Nick Kyrgios, by the way, in singles. So he just attacks everybody on social media all the time. He bullies everybody on social media. On top of that, he has terrible conduct on the court. He abuses umpires. He abuses members of the crowd. He abuses journalists in press conferences. He even abuses other players. Remember that incident he had with Stan Wawrinka a number of years ago, where he made those horrible comments to Stan Wawrinka, very personal, horrible comments. So this is a bully, and when the bully breaks down in tears, I'm sorry, you don't have any sympathy for them.
Yeah, too bad. Once again, though, coincidentally, he was getting smashed, so he withdrew.
Yeah, of course he did. And that's the thing. Like, Yannick Sinner never has a go back at Nick Kyrgios. And I tell you what, there's a lot of subjects that he could have a go back at him on. Let's remember that Nick Kyrgios did plead guilty to assaulting his ex-girlfriend at one point. Let's just remember that for a minute. This is the guy who attacks Yannick Sinner at every opportunity for failing 2 doping tests. And yet he's the one who dishes it out to everybody else on social media, even though he has a checkered past himself. But Yannick Sinner never has a go back at Nick Kyrgios. He just leaves it alone. He just gets on with it. All right, we've got our opinions on Yannick Sinner. Yes, it was distasteful. But as I said, most people just move on from that and don't bring it up every second day on social media.
Exactly.
But Nick Kyrgios has got some weird obsession with it. And then he breaks down in tears. No sympathy here.
But Novak Djokovic's form slump continues, and I think it's time that old mate retired, to be honest.
Yeah, well, it's not looking good for Novak Djokovic. Lost to Botic van der Zandschulp. He had some sort of run. Van der Zandschulp beat. He was the one who had that win over Nick Kyrgios in the first round, and then he's had a win over Novak Djokovic in the next round. That was a second round exit for Djokovic, but he had a bye in the first round, so it was his first match of the tournament. He also lost in the first round of the Qatar Open as well before that. So that's 2 first-up losses in a row for Djokovic. He also lost to Matteo Berrettini in the Qatar Open. So he'd never lost to Berrettini before that. He'd never lost to Van de Zandschulp before that either. So he's losing to these players for the first time who he never would have lost to in the past.
Yeah.
It came after that bizarre semi-final exit at the Australian Open where he just quit after 1 set against Alexander Zverev in the semis. But we are starting to get the feeling that the end is nigh here for Novak Djokovic.
I think maybe it's just time. He's not getting any better in his losses. So, it's just time, man.
You just think that this is the last year for him. I think I'd be very surprised if he's at the Australian Open next year.
If I were him, I would just finish up now. If you're getting knocked out in losing your opening match in the Indian Wells, you can't, and Qatar and so on, and you can't really think that he's going to make it to anywhere in the Grand Slams.
That's the thing, and you're looking at Carlos Alcaraz won the French Open and Wimbledon last year. So you look at that and you go, well, could Djokovic beat Alcaraz at the French or Wimbledon now? I don't think so.
Yeah.
Yannick Sinner, I know there's the drugs thing, I get that, but Yannick Sinner won the US Open last year. You look at that and you go, can Djokovic beat Yannick Sinner at the US Open? I don't think so now. So
that's what I mean. He should look at it like that and just go out on not the highest note, but a high note rather than getting worse and worse.
Yeah, no point lingering on and getting knocked out early in tournaments for the next couple of years.
He doesn't need the money. He'll get that extra $128,000 to add to his pile. And
if he does retire, he'll obviously retire as the greatest player of all time. Yeah, exactly. So it's been a phenomenal career, a record 24 Grand Slam singles titles.
Yeah. Then just finally, in the NFL, oh my God, I was just saying before how American sports does get paid a lot of money.
Yeah.
What's his name?
This is Josh Allen from the Buffalo Bills. So he's signed a record-setting 6-year, $330 million contract through to the 2030 season that includes $250 million guaranteed. It's the largest guaranteed total given to an NFL player, surpassing the previous mark of Cleveland Browns quarterback Deshaun Watson, who received $230 million guaranteed. So there you go. And I'm guessing that's in US dollars.
Yeah.
Look, I would have thought Tom Brady would have been the highest paid, but there you go. It's probably just because, the more recent it is, the more money they get paid. So the most recent players get paid more.
Yeah, absolutely. Tom Brady's almost a billionaire, though, so... Is he still going? He retired, right?
Tom Brady, yeah, he retired, and he's on some extremely lucrative commentary contract.
Yeah.
I think it was something like maybe $54 million a year to be a commentator, something like that.
I like the way the NFL has the guarantee, because they get devastating career-ending injuries quite often, so they have this guarantee where, they're guaranteed to get paid that much.
Yeah, well, $250 million guaranteed. That's not a bad.
They play 17 games a year as well.
That's not a bad. Not a bad payday.
They're only on the field for 5 minutes over the course of an hour. The amount of money they have is...
Yeah, that's a generational wealth right there. That sets up his kids, grandkids. Well done to Josh Allen, who's the NFL MVP.
For the Bills, yeah.
Yeah, Buffalo Bills, yeah.
And that's it for the week. Hopefully the Dragons can get a win over the Rabbitohs this week. Well, they should, because the Rabbitohs were pretty shocking. They're playing the Rabbitohs, right?
Yes, they are playing the Rabbitohs Saturday 3 p.m. Bulldogs are playing the Titans Sunday 6:15 p.m. at Belmore. So there you go.
Oh God! Don't drive if you're going to Belmore. Don't forget to go to OptimumCBD.store for all your CBD needs. We won't mention Donald Trump because otherwise might get flagged for influencing the American election.
Yeah, I've been leaving him off the rundown the last couple of weeks.
And make sure you follow at SmartB app on all social medias. And definitely jump into the Smart Play. It is in beta mode for NRL, and we're launching AFL this week. Super fun. Game-based fantasy league, so you don't have to commit to the whole season. Just jump in whichever game you want and build your team to the salary cap and try and win yourself some smart coins, which can be exchanged for real-life money. And yeah, you're still not too late to join the tipping comp either. For NRL and AFL, I know one round is gone, but you can still jump in.
Yep.
Winning yourself $100 each week for being the best tipster. We did have some issues because of that stupid change in the Rabbitohs game. Never happened before, where they changed the home game or whatever because of Cyclone Alfred. But it's all sorted now, and so we'll be announcing the first week's top 5 and the winners of the weekly tipping comp today, I believe. Cool.
Nice.
Right. See you next week, Dan. Good luck on the weekend.
You too. See you then.